Hey noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. I hope you're doing very well today, and I also hope that you like my new tunic from Fabbrica Cacti. Today I have a little bit of an informal, unscripted video, so rather than me talking to an audience, today is just me talking to you, as a friend. I'd like to begin with an apology. I understand that the title of this video might sound entitled, arrogant, perhaps even obnoxious, and if that's the case, I'm very sorry. I don't mean to be. This isn't a I told you so to you, but it's an I told you so to some people who wrote some very specific comments that we are going to read together on a video that I published some time ago. So a while ago I posted a video where I talked about how I prepare for possible events that may happen in the near future. On this video I talked about how important it is to be prepared when it comes to food storage, education, what skills you should learn, how to manage your finances, what to invest in, personal defense, martial arts, weapons and weapons care, what sort of things you should store in your house. It was a lot of advice, but was this advice sound? Well, according to some people in the comment section, absolutely, they loved the advice, they actually used it. Some people even saying that this video aged very well. And then in the very same comment section, you also find people that say the very opposite. They say that the video did not age well at all. And there just were quite a few people that said that I was living in a fantasy, in a world of fantasy. The stuff I said was not gonna happen, I was full of it, paranoid, and I didn't know what I was talking about. So, to get right to the point, what did I actually say that may happen in the near future that we should prepare for on this video? Well, we'll see that right now, but please, as we do so, there's one thing that I'd like you to keep in mind. As we watch and comment these clips, please keep in mind that this video was not uploaded last month, it was not uploaded 6 months ago or a year ago. This video was uploaded in 2017. So what did I say, and was I right or was I wrong? It is in time of abundance that we need to save for the critical times, for the tough times, for the times in which there is need. Imagine that there is a period of a natural disaster, like something really bad, or perhaps a big world war, or you have the outbreak of a disease, a pandemic. If a war happens and something really bad happens and people start to freak out, they're just going to go to supermarkets and steal stuff. What are you going to feed yourself with? No matter how much people freak out, no matter what sort of riot you find yourself in, you'll always be able to provide for yourself and for your family. The bank where you had your money got bombed and there is a huge outbreak, a pandemic, a war, something crazy happens. If you are prepared, you shall not fear. I'd say quite self-explanatory for those who have eyes to see. How about we check out now these hateful comments left by these blind people? Dude, you are living in some strange world. I can agree with that, but it still is our world. I am twice your age, have lived all over the world, and do not worry about the things that seem to bother you. It seems to me there are too many people in this world who imagine all kinds of situations that may happen, but probably never will. We are now living in a pandemic. I have not heard or seen any of the kind of scenarios you think might happen. No home invasions, we have not run out of food, and our society has not collapsed. Alright? How about this? You have the outbreak of a disease, a pandemic.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
And people start to freak out, they're just going to go to supermarkets and steal stuff.
A string of organized thefts have hit major retailers across several states, with thieves getting away with thousands of dollars worth of merchandise.
They're just going to go to supermarkets and steal stuff.
The pandemic has fueled an increase in these kinds of incidents.
Pandemic.
Some experts say the pandemic is playing a role in the rise of these types of thefts.
No matter what sort of riot you find yourself in.
The United States of America is unravelling for all the world to see as race riots leave many of the nation's biggest cities burning in almost unimaginable scenes.
Riot you find yourself in.
Race riots. The wave of violence has now washed across 29 cities.
What happens if some criminals, some thieves, someone enters my home?
A group of violent criminals in Brooklyn's Coney Island. According to detectives, on Sunday evening, this trio walked into an apartment complex near West 27th Street, and one of the men announced that they were a maintenance worker and conducting a survey about COVID-19. When the young man opened his door thinking he'd be taking a survey, police say that's when these three jumped him. pummeling him with their punches and kicks.
I'm like, oh heck, someone broke in my home and the police is nowhere to be found and these people entered my home.
They need to have more cops around here because there's no cops whatsoever.
At least I know that in each one of my rooms there is something that I can use for personal defense. We have not run out of food.
Worried customers have been snapping up everything in sight. Store shelves nationwide are dwindling or totally empty, like at this Target near Washington, D.C.
Do I do food storage? Absolutely. I've been doing it for years.
I can't believe what people are doing inside. Shelves are empty. It's like we're going...
Of course, you might think, well, but in order to get food, I need to have money. And if I have enough money, then I can always provide for food. Food doesn't cost that much. You shouldn't always count on the idea of, I've got this money in my bank account, and whenever I need, I can go to a supermarket and get all the food I need.
Stores rushing to replenish. Many stores now limiting the number of high-demand items customers can buy, like hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes.
Living in a world of fantasy instead of the real one is not very healthy. But here's the thing, the world I described on that video is the real one. This man is knocking futs. I like it. I'm glad you like it. But am I? You are not ready to face the real world we live in. And you say that you are ready for war? I don't know if I should laugh or cry. I prepared for a pandemic. A pandemic came. I did not run out of food. I did not run out of water. Neither me, nor my friends, nor my loved ones, nor my wife had to go to the supermarkets when people were rioting, when people were stealing stuff. We did not run out of toilet paper. We had an excess of medicines. We never ran out of hand sanitizer. There was not one day from 2020 to 2022 when I was worried that I was gonna run out of any of these things. You think you are prepared, which is very different than being prepared. I proved this point already. I said I was preparing for a possible war. There is a war now. Am I prepared? Absolutely yes. This person says I'm not ready for the real world. I say I kicked it in the teeth. Paranoia. I'll take that over this.
You're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna call the police. Stop it!
New York City will be under a curfew that begins in 3 seconds. Some of the most prominent streets, anything but quiet tonight. Also, more looting throughout Manhattan.
Metatron, you look much better without a beard. My wife disagrees. The problem with this is that if said scenarios don't happen, any time and effort you put into learning these things will go to waste. Absolutely not true. To be honest, I don't give an F about war and other disasters. I'm not afraid of dying. And constantly preparing for possible future scenarios and being paranoid is no life worth living. I find it intriguing that people really think that being prepared is paranoia. So going to an exam without having studied is then preferable to these people than someone who takes a lot of time studying and preparing for their exam because, oh gosh, are you so paranoid for questions that the professor during the test might not even ask you? That's not a student's life worth living. I just go there and whatever happens, happens. And then they fail. Is the good student that takes his time and prepares, studies his subject and tries to anticipate as many of the test questions as possible paranoid? He will pass the exam with very good votes. He will succeed. But is the time that he used to prepare and study for the questions that weren't actually asked during the test wasted? No, because he will retain that knowledge. I find your rationale for having so many weapons in your home illogical. Yeah, I understand that some people find it odd that people like you and me like having multiple weapons, but then he says having a gun is worthless, I have a gun, I keep it locked away. Again, a typical thing about people that really don't know what they're talking about, and please only learn from those who know. They will contradict themselves. And in here, he says that having a gun is worthless, but then he also says he has a gun. You can immediately tell this is not good advice. People who may want to break into your home are going to do it when you are sleeping, so what are you going to do?
Although Tammy didn't recognize the suspects, she said she's familiar with the robbers' deceptive tactics.
Last week somebody knocked on my door, but that's why I tell them no.
People who may want to break into your home are going to do it when you are sleeping, so what are you going to do? That may be so, but then again, I've got 2 dogs and I can assure you that the moment the Amazon guy gets near my door and doesn't even knock, it becomes a pandemonium in here. I think that would wake me up. One thing I really like about dogs, and I think that people who have dogs can understand this and relate, is that in a way they are sort of guardian angels. They are ready. They will die to defend you. Something you can't really say about that many human beings. A question to all preppers out there: if a nuclear war breaks out, what sense does it make to live? Wouldn't you prefer to die rather than living a horrible life? Nuclear war is a very extreme example. You see, between white and black, there are a myriad of shades of grey. So statistically speaking, preparing for all of those shades of grey is still worth it. I always have 1 month of pasta and water in advance. Metatron approved. Not a single one of you effing losers would live. You would all be the first to die. The only people who may survive are the Special Operation Forces, some other military personnel, and heavily armed farmers. Now, here's the thing, brother. I have mad respect for military personnel, Special Operation Forces, people with that kind of knowledge, people who work in the industry even. Mad respect for you guys. And I do agree that their specific set of skills would be very useful in a situation such as the ones that we are going through. Yet, you were wrong. I survived. We survived. In the case of a pandemic or any small-scale extinction level event, you'll likely be dead regardless of how prepared you are. Incorrect. Does he want me to store up food for a war that is not coming? Jesus! You sound now like a false evangelical prophet who prepares everyone for the end of the world that is not coming. And the pandemic came. And the war came. And he was not prepared. Okay, I think I made the point with the comments. These people don't know what they're talking about. And that's a message that I left even in my previous video, which was comedy, was satire. I was just joking, but the message I left in there was still true. In this day and age, it is becoming more and more common that people that do not know will teach. With the rapid spread of social media and the ability that everyone has to just point a camera to themselves and teach, perhaps even using a specific tone that makes it sound as if they knew what they were talking about, or perhaps just using their charisma, the very basic notion that in order to teach something, you need to first know it has become controversial. I say you have the ability to discern between those people who are teaching what they don't know and those people that are teaching you the things that they do know. And the point of this video is not to say, hey, look, I'm Nostradamus. You don't need to be Nostradamus to foresee some events and prepare for them. One of the reasons why I like history so much is because it teaches us through experience, collective experience, spread over centuries and millennia. We learn from our mistakes so that we may not repeat them. And learning from your mistakes is something that you can apply to your own personal private life. History, archaeology, all of these subjects are important because they allow you to learn from your mistakes as a species, multiplying it orders of magnitude. And that is in fact one of the reasons why I decided to give this channel the name Metatron. That is one of the reasons why I've decided to take upon myself the name Metatron, because Metatron is the scribe. He is the being that records and studies the deeds of men. And what better way to predict what humanity may do, specifically in some situations that have been happening over and over and over again throughout our history. What better way to anticipate people's reactions, people's overreactions. I even said on that video, you also want to make sure you save a certain sum of money, even though there might be something you really like to buy. You should wait on that and wait until you have a bigger budget, because what would you do if the perfect partner for you, the person, the man or woman, the girl or boy that you really fall in love with and you really want to spend the rest of your life with, is in another town, far away, and you're gonna need money to move there. And then in 2019, I met Mackenzie, who now is my wife. And yes, she lived in another town. She lived on a different continent, and yet I was prepared. And here I am, living in America with her. I'd like to wrap up this video again by saying thank you to the people who believed in me. Thank you to the people who support me. And I really hope that you will follow the advice that is on that video that I believe is still sound and should be followed. And it does not come from a magical place or an orb. It comes from study, research, knowledge acquired through experience. And most importantly, comes from a place of love, because I love you all, noble ones. All of you, regardless of what you believe in, what you don't believe in, you are my friends, and I just want the best for you. The one thing I do need to underline about that original episode is when I talk about guns. There is a section in there that I talk about the fact that I prefer when guns are not loaded. And some people in the description said, no, you should never have a gun that isn't unloaded because otherwise it's useless. But I'd like to underline that I meant when children are in the home. I did say that, but perhaps I didn't make it very clear. Of course, if you're an adult and you live on your own, or you live with another adult and you all understand gun safety, then yes. But with that being said, I'm not a gun expert, and in fact I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments below. Please teach me. And with that being said, this is the video I wanted to share with you today, a little unusual I suppose. Thank you very much for your continued support, your humility and your example. You're a great community. The way you leave your comments is always very civil, very respectful. I appreciate your comments, and I also appreciate the constructive criticism or the times that you correct my English, because again, sometimes I do misspeak. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye, Nabu.